All right, we are live. Wednesday already, hump day. Almost there, halfway there. We're back, Digital Marketing Network, talking about all things digital marketing. We're back. Mickey Black, Jennifer J. We're back. Sort of doing a part two of something we started yesterday. So we talked about the developer news yesterday, where now Apple Siri is now going to be powered by Chat GPT, and that got us talking about the Google Voice and voice search. And then I did some digging, and apparently, voice search is a big deal in terms of just what it does for your brand, how people are navigating this new space. So I didn't know. Jennifer, you had said that the Google team was talking to you about how businesses are showing up on Google Voice Search nowadays.
Yes. Yes. So, businesses are, well, I got notice of it because I was getting multiple calls from a Google Voice search company. I don't think it's an official Google company, but I
Got you.
think that they just got wind of what was coming and they just are trying to get people to pay them to have search uh their search optimized.
Optimize. Gotcha.
Mhm.
Because it's a big deal. So since we spoke, I did some digging and just to see what is the deal on the whole voice search, and found out some really interesting stuff. I'm going to share some slides I put together. But apparently, the voice search market targeted by end of this year to be 50% of search. So half of the searches that are happening, people are doing with their voice on their devices, whether it be handheld or the home devices that are internet enabled. So that's a big deal. That's like a big shift in behavior. Some other small statistics. I think the 2022 the voice search shopping market hit $40 billion. So there's $40 billion in terms of shopping that are done on voice command. And then 72% of people with voice activated speakers in their homes say it's part of the daily routine. So
Mhm.
72% of people out there every day consulting the internet abled voice devices and really doing things that way. Does that surprise you at all?
It really doesn't because this will come as a shocker. My youngest daughter taught my mother how to use Alexa to search for her TV shows on the TV. And my mom is 95. So you'll hear her saying, "Alexa, turn on Young and the Restless." Or she knows how to go to the channel. "Alexa, go to Paramount Plus or give me Paramount Plus or whatever." And so that's just an example of just voice search in your everyday life, right? And then you see the commercials of people using it in their everyday life where they're like, add this to my shopping list or do this or do that. So it's the same as having like that assistant. But now what Apple is doing is incorporating this into, well, not just Apple, but Google too, incorporating voice search into everything. So now people can say, "Hey, find me an electrician near me." And it's going to, as you stated yesterday, use those different platforms to be able to find the best electrician near you based on your location, based on reviews, based on a myriad of data that is going to be looking for to come and bring those results back. And so a lot of businesses aren't even ready for that, won't even show up on that. And what happens is you'll miss out because somebody could drive right by your business. Like if I'm looking for ice cream near me, and it
Mm-hmm.
could be an ice cream shop like right on the corner, But because you don't have your digital presence optimized and updated, then they'll drive right by you to the company who does. It doesn't mean theirs is the best. It just mean they did the work.
Yeah, yeah. And matter of fact, that's a good point because we talked about what businesses can do to really kind of prepare. And I had a couple of notes, and I think we talked about a couple of things yesterday, but three big things that they say you want to do to really thrive in this voice search era is number one, optimize for local SEO. I think you kind of hit the nail on the head talking about somebody can be right in your area, but if you don't pop up on the local SEO front, they'll drive right by you. Another thing is conversational keywords. So really, a lot of times, people don't even think about how users craft language in a more casual way. It's usually like, oh, you know, ice cream in my neighborhood or ice cream, within walking distance or whatever that is. And so you
Mhm.
gotta think about search terms in that way. And then another thing, which was super simple, but you wouldn't ordinarily think about it, but having an FAQs page, because when people search, they'll often use that natural language that's in context of a question. So having your frequently asked questions out there as a page is really what a lot of the search engines are looking for. And they lift a lot of that language into the devices. So when Siri needs to know, what your refund policy is or what hours you're open, it's going to crawl that page. Nobody's going to actually call your business anymore. They're going to use the robots, and the AI is going to crawl your page and service up those results. And it's got to be there on the site, or else you're going to be invisible.
No, I think that frequently asked questions page is a key strategy because you don't want to put a bunch of data on your website. You don't want to put a bunch of data on your landing pages, but if you form it like you said in the form of a question, then you can have the, as you say it, the bots crawl, because we don't know how to talk not tech, but so that it's looking for that information and it brings it back to the user in that format. So I think it's really important. And that was one of the challenges that I still have to this day in figuring out like what people search for. And I think that's really, really important in your business if you've done the initial work to really figure out like what their pain points are and those things. It'll help you with that, but I still struggle with it because I know they're not using the terminology that I use, right? They're not using systems and automation and organization and operations, and they're not using those things. So it's like trying to get in the mind of them to understand, like, I know I need systems, but I don't know where to start. You only know that if you hear someone say you need systems. You just know what the problem is. Like, I'm overwhelmed, I'm doing too much in my business. How do I stop this? How do I stop the pain of the stress? So knowing those keywords is really good. And something else you mentioned yesterday, which was content, being able to put out massive content, to be able to have them um be able to have those things in your content too, so it'll come up.
Yeah, yeah. It's a lot of work, but I think the one of the big helpful things you mentioned it, the whole SEO. One of the there's tools out there, and sometimes it's tough because sometimes a lot of the SEO tools are expensive. Like I've used SEMrush, but that's more than $100. I think it might be
Mhm.
$150 a month. So you don't always have the need for it, like consistency. So sometimes I'll just subscribe for 6 months, focus on content for 6 months, get a battery of content, and then let the subscription lapse once you don't need it anymore.
Mhm.
Another tool, you ever hear of Ask the Public? I think it's Ask the
Yes.
Public.
Mhm.
That's another
Yes.
tool that's good to
Mhm.
find out how people are talking or crafting language around your product. But those are I think even that tool is limited in terms of the free use. I think you have to eventually pay for that as well. So that's a toughie, the SEO, because a lot of the tools they cost dollars. But if
Mhm.
anybody watching wants to put in the comments what they use and if there's any interesting free tools that they use, we're all ears to share with the public. But those are the two of the ones that I've used to the most success.
Mhm. Yeah. I also it's a course on Udemy
Mm-hmm.
that I found. I forgot how much I paid for it, maybe $40 or something like that on SEO that really breaks it down and tells you what to do. It gives you also free versus paid tools that you can use for SEO. So I think that course is really good. You can go to sites like that to find it. Of course, you have to do the work, or if you have the money, you can just pay an SEO expert to do it for you.
Yeah, yeah. Now you mentioned FAQs. A lot of times, like you mentioned, not knowing how sometimes the language that customers use or the questions that customers have. Is there anything in particular you use or strategies you take to come up with your FAQs?
I try to use the content that it depends on what the page is, right? And so what I try to do is to think of the questions that they're going to ask for that content before, so that they don't really need to talk to someone. So, and I only know that because I've had those questions asked to me before making a decision. So, really, really understanding what people want, what their questions are going to be, always what's going to happen next. How do I get started? What's, like you said, what's your refund policy? All of those things are usually good for that. Also, if you think about like answer the public, right? When you go there, it gives you both. It gives you question format of what people are searching for. You can put those questions in there and answer them in your FAQs. And so you know that that's what people are searching for, number
Mm.
one. And then you can put your spin on it and redirect it back to your business. So I think that's really key in using that. And then if you had like the brick and mortars, right? People are always asking, where are you located? What are your office hours? What are your hours operation? Um, what are your price ranges? Things like that. Or if you think about what people would be searching for, um, like closest, usually someone to say closest laundromat or something like that. Also, too, a lot of times when you're using your phone, the phone autocorrect will fill in the words for you. So looking at that is key too, because it's
Yeah.
filling in based off of the data that it has that most people are searching for. So those are also key things you want to put into, you can put them into your frequently asked questions as well.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that's big when you're thinking about people's behavior on mobile devices. So they may not even use language that they would naturally use because they're on a mobile device. They're just shorthanding and
Mhm,
auto correcting to
mhm,
get wherever they need. So you got to think about that as well, especially if whether it is a specific brand name that you
mhm,
have that might sometimes get auto corrected as a matter of course. So you got to think about if somebody's trying to type in your brand and it auto corrects what that driver would be. So that's a super good point.
Mhm.
That's a lot of really good information today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So and just to kind of close out on the SEO piece. So I know we talked about SEM Rush, and then we talked about and I think ask the public or answer the public,
Answer the public.
answer the
Mhm.
public. But you know, speaking of the autofill, a lot of people use the strategy of just going to Google, starting a query, and looking at that list that drops down
Mhm.
of suggested
Mhm.
searches as
Mhm.
sort of like a SEO suggestion of what sort of content they should have. You ever do anything like that?
On YouTube, I have, because that's what you're taught, right? You're taught to look at
Yeah.
those things. So I have done that. Yes.
Hmm. Yeah. I haven't even, yeah, I hadn't thought about the YouTube, but yeah, specifically when you look at those lists, they tell you that that's what your audience is looking for. That's what people in that category are looking for. So that's super cool. So I think there's a lot of actionable stuff to follow that we've kind of given tips on, just to kind of
Mhm.
run them down again. Making sure you're optimized for that local SEO so people can
Mhm.
find you where they need you.
Mhm.
Making sure your search terms are in there. And what was the other one? I forget what the other one was.
The conversational keywords.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
Cool. Cool. That is awesome. So I think we kind of dug deep and prepared folks well for dominating in the area of Google voice search. Anything parting you want to say before we drop and head out?
No, just please make sure if you need help with setting up your digital presence, you can go to network.ai or you can contact me at systemsactivate.com and we will help you get started. It's getting started is the first part.
Yeah. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. All right, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.
Training.